Brett Kreger. I'm the managing broker here in Oklahoma City, and today I wanted to talk with you about how the open house should go. What we're saying, what questions we're asked, how we're greeting them, where we stand, everything. So important to understand, remember from the very beginning, our goal here is to capture a client. We are the product in the house. And so when someone comes into this open house, understand in their head, they think we're trying to sell this house to them. So there's a couple things we have to do, questions we have to ask to get them to drop their guard so that they realize I'm not trying to sell them this house, I'm trying to be their realtor. So we'll go through that. So we have what we call the 3-touch system. We're gonna touch these people 3 times, strategically asking certain questions, saying certain things. And it's important to understand we're not following these people around the house. When they walk in, I'm not attaching myself to the hip, walking them through, say, look at this, look at this, look at this, this is so great, that's so great. People they're not gonna let their guard down when they do that. Their eyes glaze over and they don't listen to anything you say. Not only that, but they're not even watching the house. They don't even listen to what you're saying, or not even appreciating the house they're in. So important to, when we're touching them, what we're doing is we're getting into their personal space, we're asking them questions, and then we're disengaging. And we're allowing them to drop that guard and be more comfortable with us. So at the end, when we start asking questions, we can actually get into a conversation. So our first touch, when someone first walks in the door, let me back up. Whenever we set up in an open house, important to set up in a common area where you're gonna be able to see that person more than one time. Typically people set up in a living room or a kitchen. Most kitchens, you should be able to see both sides of the house, or most living rooms. You don't wanna be on one far end of the house where you only see them one time. You wanna be somewhere where you can see them come in the house and where you can see them whether across your face multiple times. That's ideal. So just because people always say set up in a kitchen, if it's a bad area of the house or if it's on one side, don't set up in that kitchen. So set up where you're gonna be able to see them multiple times, coming in and out of rooms, in and out of different sides of the house. So when someone first comes in the house, we're gonna touch them for the first time. We're gonna greet them at the door, we're gonna be empty-handed. We're not walking up to them with a sign-in sheet. We're not walking up with an MLS sheet. We're not walking up with a business card, nothing. We come up empty-handed and we introduce ourselves. And we're gonna introduce ourselves with our first name only. And what we're trying to do here is, if I introduce myself first and last name, now you feel obligated to introduce yourself first and last name, right? And you're not ready to give me that information. You don't know me from Adam. So I say Brett only, and you say your first name, John, right? You don't tell me your last name. So we're gonna introduce ourselves first name only, and then we're gonna repeat their name back to them. This is a way for 2 reasons. One, people like to hear their own name. For the other reason is, if you're not one of those people who can just remember names at the drop of a hat really, really well, if you're like me and you forget names like crazy, then you repeat it back to them and you can actually, it's a memory tactic. If I repeat your name back to you in my head or back to you out loud, I'm gonna be able to remember it better. It's gonna help me remember it. So introduce myself, first name only, I repeat your name back to you, and then I go back and I'm gonna write your name down on my notepad. Important to understand, we don't have sign-in sheets at our open house. A sign-in sheet is a cop-out. A sign-in sheet is a way to try to get people's information without having a conversation. If I just ask you for your information right when you walk in the door, I haven't provided value to you. You don't know if you like me, you don't know if you trust me. I'm not gonna give you any information. If you do that to me and you're like me, when I give someone my information, I have 2 emails. I have Kreger.Brett@Yahoo, and if I write someone's name down and I don't want them to ever contact me, I write Kreger.Brett@Gmail, and that email will go nowhere. No one will ever receive that email. So if you try to get my information before you've provided value, before we exchange information, or before we exchange anything, I'm gonna give you a fake email. I'm gonna change 1 digit on my phone number. You're not gonna ever contact me ever again. So understand that sign-in sheets are a cop-out. It's a way to not have a conversation. So you wanna engage in a conversation, and then on the 3rd touch is when we'll get the information. That's after we've provided value, and they're gonna actually, if you do this well enough, if you're good enough, people are gonna actually give you their information. You don't even have to ask for it. So no sign-in sheets. So our first touch is we're just greeting them, getting their name, and we're writing it down. So already off the bat, we've stepped into their personal zone, right into their personal bubble, and we've retreated. Now we go back, we write their name down on our notepad, and we get the MLS sheet, right? And this tells us the price, the square footage, the bed, the bath count, all that stuff. So our second touch is when we're going to approach them and provide them with the MLS sheet. So we're gonna give them the MLS sheet, use their name again. If your name is John, I'm gonna say, hey John, here's the MLS sheet. And then I like to try to get on their side here. So if they're standing right here in front of me and I give them the MLS sheet, I'm gonna try to go shoulder to shoulder with them and show them the MLS sheet. And I'm just kind of getting on their side, we're talking, we're getting close again, and then I'm gonna retreat back and get out of it again. So I'm gonna give them the MLS sheet. I am going to use their name as much as possible. And then the last thing I do in this second touch is I'm gonna give them an assignment. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to A, engage them, B, I'm trying to show them that I don't really care about this house, I just want to be with you, and C, I'm trying to get them to come back and have a conversation with me. And so I'm engaging them. I'm gonna tell them, go check out the master bathroom upstairs, or go look at the bathroom downstairs, or go look at the garage, or go look at something, right? I'm telling you to go do something, and I'm probably gonna highlight a negative feature of the house. Or if it's a really awesome, great house, go highlight one of the best features. Just highlight something, tell them to go look at it, and you want their opinion, right? So maybe the master bath is original from the 1970s, and it's got shag carpet in it, and it's got orange wallpaper or something, right? Take a look at the upstairs bathroom and tell me what you would do to renovate it. Tell me if you would update it. Tell me if you love it, right? Engage them, go get them to do something so that hopefully they come back and we can have another conversation. We can re-engage them. So for our second touch, we're gonna give them the MLS sheet. We're gonna kind of get on their side. We're gonna point out, here's the property features. We're gonna use their name as much as possible, and then we're gonna give them a task. We're gonna give them an assignment to go complete. Now, in between the second and the third touch is when they're giving themselves a tour of the home. And what I try to do is, if I'm in a location where I'm seeing them multiple times, I wanna try to probe them as they're walking around. Maybe they go into the master bath and they come out and they go into the other bedroom, right? And I see them come out and I'll probe them. Now, I'm not stopping them and engaging them, I'm just kind of probing information. So I'll say, you guys been looking at the area long? Or you guys really like this neighborhood? Or are you trying to get into this school system? Or you guys live nearby? You guys relocating? Anything I can, I'm trying to engage them to try to find out what's going on in their life. And I'm trying to qualify these buyers. I'm trying to find out what their motivations are and what they need, because I can't provide value until I know what they need. So in between touch 2 and touch 3, I'm just probing them. They walk in, I ask them, you guys trying to get in the school district? Maybe they say, we don't have any kids, doesn't matter. Or maybe they say, yeah, little Johnny starts school next year and we want to be here. So now I'm starting to learn about their demographic, their dynamic. As they cross me again, I ask them another question. I'll build on my information that I know, so that when I get to the third touch, I have some knowledge, some information, and I can start to provide value. So during the second and third touch, I'm probing them, asking questions, gathering information. And then the third touch is when I'm actually going to engage them, try to provide value, and try to capture their information so that I can help them sell a house or sell them a house later on down the road. So for the third touch, when they're done giving the tour, hopefully they've come back to me with whatever feedback I've asked them for. If I gave them that assignment, hopefully they come back. But if they come back and they're done and they just say, thank you, and they try to walk out, we want to stop them and engage them. Easiest way to do that is just to say, you guys have any feedback I can provide the seller? Or I can just say, what did you guys think, right? And that's when they're gonna go into why they don't like this house. Because they still think I might be trying to sell this house to them. So they're gonna tell me why they don't like it. Because 99.9% of the time, they're not gonna buy that house they see it in an open house. So they're gonna walk in, they're gonna think about it, they're gonna talk amongst themselves, and they're gonna come out and say, thanks for letting us show it. And I'm gonna say, what'd you guys think? And they're gonna say, it's just not big enough for us. Or we really need a bigger backyard. Or we really want a fireplace. Or I don't want to have to update, it needs more work than I thought. Or I want something that I can update myself. They're gonna explain to me why this house doesn't work for them. Now, once I ask for feedback, I'm gonna ask questions. I'm gonna try to identify what their wants and needs are. So they say they want a bigger backyard. Oh, how big is the backyard you guys have now? What are you guys using it for? Probe them a little bit, engage them, and I'm trying to qualify them. And while I'm asking these questions, if you remember during our preparation, we previewed 3 to 5 houses. So every time I ask them a question and they answer it, I'm qualifying which one of those houses I want to talk to them about. So if they say, we already live in a 1,500 square foot house and you're sitting in a 1,500 square foot house, I know they need something bigger. And I previewed a bigger house. It's around the corner. So I'm gonna ask them, have you guys seen the house on 123 Main Street around the corner? It's bigger, similar floor plan. It's a corner lot as well, right? All these things that I know about the house because I've been in it, and I can qualify them. So I'm asking questions, finding out what their wants and their needs are, and I am discussing the homes I've previewed in the past. And once I've engaged them, provided information, provided value to them, that's when I'm gonna go in for their information so that I can continue to provide value for them in the future. So if we're discussing something they're interested in, a property they're interested in, maybe I'm gonna send them information on that property or another one nearby. What I want to try to avoid is just saying, hey, give me your email and I'll set you up on a drip. Give me your email and I'll set you up on a campaign. I'll just email you all the listings in this area. Because every realtor on the planet can do that. Not only that, every real estate site, Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, they can do that too. They don't need you. They need you to provide value and be the inside information that they can't get online. That's why you preview those houses. So once you provided that value, we're gonna go in for their information. And the easiest way to do that is to ask for their email first and then their phone number. And we wanna get them to write it down, and here's why. So what I'm gonna say is, have you seen the house around the corner, 123 Main Street? It's bigger, it's a really great house. Actually, let me grab your email. I'm just gonna shoot all the information over to you, and that way you'll have it and you can look at pictures. And when they engage and say yes, I'll say, okay, actually, I'm gonna have you write it down because I'll just misspell something, right? You wanna get it off you, let them write it. And the reason we're doing this is because once they start writing, because right now they've committed to their email, they're writing their email, and most people don't like confrontation. They just don't like it. They're gonna shy away from it. So if you've already committed to giving me your email, and then I say, actually jot down your phone number too, and that way I'll just send you a message or call you to make sure it goes through. They've already engaged in writing their email. It's very confrontational to stand up and say, no, email's fine, I don't want you to have my phone number. It's confrontational, it's difficult, it's awkward, right? Most people don't want that. So if they've already engaged and you just say, actually, and throw your phone number on there too, 99% of the time, they're just gonna continue to write their phone number. And now you're gonna have both. So you're starting with something that is easier to ignore and easier to delete, right, an email, and then you're going into a cell phone number, which is more difficult and it's easier to follow up with. So start with your email, then go in for the phone number once they've already engaged in writing that email down. And make them write it, right? Because if I'm writing it, then it's easier for them to just say no. But once they've engaged in the act, it's more difficult. And then once you've got that information, continue the conversation, continue asking questions, jot down notes next to their name so you can know what they want and what they need. Again, we're not using a sign-in sheet. Very important, a couple of no-nos when we're in our open house. We do not use a sign-in sheet. It's too easy to lie. You've got to engage them and write information down as needed. And then secondly, we don't use business cards. If at any time your information is out, I don't even put it on the MLS sheet. I erase it or I don't print it with it if the MLS allows me to. No information anywhere. Because what's gonna happen is when you ask for their information, they're just gonna grab your card and say, no, I got your card, I'll call you if I need you. And guess what, guys? They're never gonna call you. So with any business cards, right? My policy is never hand out business cards. If I wanna do business with you, I get your information because I will follow up. You won't follow up, I will. And so no sign-in sheets because you're gonna get fake information and they're not gonna follow up if you don't provide value. No business cards because it's an excuse for them to not give you their information. And then lastly, don't ask if they have a realtor. My policy and what we teach here is just become their realtor. Just act as if they've already hired you. Just start being their realtor. Start providing value. Start asking questions. Start sending properties. Start answering questions. Do all these things for them because they might think they have a realtor, but they don't really. I've asked people in the past, you guys work in an agent? They're gonna say, yeah. And I say, what's their name? And they'll say, oh, John, I can't remember his last name. We met him 2 weeks ago. Okay, that's not your realtor. I'm your realtor now, right? So don't even ask because they might think they have one, but once they see what kind of value you can provide, you're gonna get that client from them and you're gonna capture that. So don't ask if they have a realtor, just start working with them. Now what might happen occasionally, and it will happen, you're gonna work with someone, you're gonna send them information, you might even show them a house, and then they're gonna call you and say, hey, my cousin's a realtor, he's gonna write up the offer. It happens, it's happened to me. But you're gonna capture more clients and close more houses with this activity by actually engaging them further quicker than you're actually gonna lose. So you're gonna gain more benefit than you're gonna lose there. It will happen, but just know if you just become their realtor, you're gonna be more likely to close them and to actually work with them. So this is what we're doing during the open house, how we're engaging them in conversation. It's important to prepare properly so that you know what questions to ask and you know how to answer questions and lead the conversation to where you need it to go and where you can actually have success with it. So good luck in your open houses, guys. And next we're gonna talk about how to follow up with all the leads that we capture while we're at our open house.